Hey everybody, my name is Todd Standing. I am the man who takes people out into the field and has them either live interact with their eyewitness Sasquatch. A few weeks ago, I did a video about a piece of Bigfoot footage, and today I'm coming to you as somebody who has an opinion, who has perspectives, who understands the anatomy and has worked with anthropologist Jeff Meldrum, has seen Sasquatch on several occasions, someone who has a great deal of knowledge and understanding of the species commonly referred to as Bigfoot. The truth has come out. We are going to definitively come to a conclusion about the reality of footage that I analyzed and looked at just a few weeks ago on February the 6th approximately. So it's going to be fun because did I get caught with my pants down? Did I get caught becoming a proponent of a piece of footage that was real? I don't think so. And even NVTV, who originally had this footage, need to start talking about the reality and the truth behind this footage because it's very important. Is this a real Bigfoot or not? We're going to go through that. We're going to talk about a topic that is of enormous interest to everybody who is working towards the discovery of Sasquatch, which is a real species, which actually exists. I know this. I've filmed them. And the topic of, unfortunately, people that fake, people that are fraudulent, people that hoax. We're going to talk Patterson footage. We're going to talk about this footage. Let's get on to all this. Is going to be a very revealing episode, so stay tuned. It's going to be great.
Masters of civilization, my people, sure could learn a lot from the masters of the wilderness, which is who they are.
There's no way that you got sight of a Sasquatch in those areas with those tree breaks, with those tracks, getting those apples taken, with those sounds, all these things.
First thing we're going to get to that's very important is what I said last week, the evidence that I was presented with, and oh my God, the misinformation that's out there. Guys, you gotta know, the internet is full of BS and crap. Oh my God, I was told this was new video footage. I found it's at least 8 years old. It's nowhere near new. People have been doing reviews on this footage that know all about Mark Anders. And so there's nothing new about this footage whatsoever. And so what's really cool for me is I honestly, and the other thing is, what do you say? People are going to say, well, what do you live under a rock? Yeah, I'm out there. I'm boots on the ground. I'm in the wilderness 100 days a year, right? So, and I have. What was great about this is I put it out there. I put the video out there, and then I got information back that maybe I'm a little behind sometimes when it comes to hoax videos and what's going on with people and whatnot. But because I'm really working on my own thing predominantly, working with people like Jeff Meldrum and people that have had sightings and working with Survivor Man and other people that are really working towards making this discovery move forward. However, once in a while, you need to stop and have a look because there is a lot of footage I've seen that I have said I think very likely could be real. So let's listen to my review of everything I was given, all the information I was given, some of which was incorrect, a lot of which was incorrect. I don't even think this footage was allegedly filmed in Mexico, then it went back to Idaho, the times were all off. So let me just go through what I honestly knew based on the information I was given at that time, which was first week of February. So here is what I played in that previous video. So have a watch through it and we'll talk about some of the problems after. I'm pretty sure this video is from 2021, and I'm going to read some of what the NVTV said here. So it said, when we posted this video yesterday, which was a few months ago, we were asked, where's the full clip? And the answer is, there is no full clip. Red flag. That's a problem. It says, this is how we got it, and it was sent to us. So that's a big red flag, and I want to talk about that in quite a bit of detail. So they say it was filmed in Idaho, United States. I would like to say they are absolutely Sasquatch. I've seen a Sasquatch. I had Sasquatch approach me from Idaho. I spoke with and had a short relationship with. So I went to Idaho to film some of my footage for my film in Jeff Meldrum's office at Idaho State University in Pocatello. So there are definitively 100.0% Sasquatch in Ohio. So that's good to know. I can give you at least that perspective. And then they say there's a debate over the footage saying it's real and others say it's fake. Either way you see it, explain one thing. So this is where they come in as proponents. So they say explain one thing. Who is in the so-called expensive detailed suit? Who in their right mind would buy or go through all the trouble to film and a short clip hoping to hoax people? People do that. It just doesn't make any sense. I agree. Most of the pranks and fakes don't spend a lot of time or money to trick people online, and you can tell right away. They're right. I agree with that. Like we said, there's absolutely no gain or fame in that. I don't know about that last sentence, but they make a lot of good points, and they're clearly proponents. As you'll see through this footage, they clearly believe it's actually real, legitimate footage. And I will give my opinion. I appreciate their opinions and their perspectives, and that's great. So let's have a look at the footage, just some of it right now real quick. So they start out with this kind of cropped version, and there's a lot of legitimacy that I see in this. The leaning forward, the way the hair looks, not very impressed with the color of the filming. Perhaps it's very zoomed in. It's so important to get the behind the scenes perspective. There's an ear there, and there's also, I notice in the, not just the lean forward, the thickness of the body is very impressive. This is not a tall individual though. And one thing I'll say is, because you can see based on the trees around, I recognize these trees. Idaho State is similar to Montana, similar to Alberta. This is my home habitat, so I know this area very well. This is away from the Pacific, more into the Rocky Mountains where Idaho is. So I would guesstimate this being is not much taller than a large man. So the leaning forward is really good, but a man can do that. And then what I'll notice a little later, here we are into this longer footage, is when I look at the foot, this being is walking very similar to a Sasquatch. If you notice in the Patterson footage, the foot goes right forward and comes straight up and down. I've seen Sasquatch do that. Sasquatch do that. And the way even the knee comes so far back. So if this is the person in the suit, he's walking like he learned from the Patterson footage. Unfortunately, that's one thing with the Patterson footage, is it is a real Sasquatch. I'm 100% convinced of that. And now people can duplicate their movements. So, and now they say, if you notice, you can see the ear in the Bigfoot. That is impressive. Also notice there's no neck. I agree, that's like Sasquatchish. Also notice the cone-shaped head, agreed. If you look closely at the hair, it's shining from the sunlight, agreed. Just look at the heavy build on its costume. If you need someone to like The Rock to wear it, you could pull it off. How can this be a man in a suit? I think it can be. I think somebody can pull it off. But, and there's stuff about like we're looking at it again, like the neck. There seems to be a break, like a bit of a costume in that, possibly. The hand looks very authentic to me in this shot, the way the hand positioning is. And see, there's a tree right beside it, and that tree and the trees in front of it indicate to me this is not, even I wouldn't even be surprised if this is just 6 feet, 6'1". You know, that's a skinny tree beside him, and it's not very tall. So, and again, so they'll review this over and over. So now, and also what I'm seeing too, I'd like to make a note of, Sasquatch, when they're this tall, in my experience, are not this big. So, not to say it's not possible, but I saw a Sasquatch in California. He wasn't extremely tall, and he wasn't very big. Now it says, watch the still images, cuffed Patty-like hands, white on the bottoms of the feet, just like Patty. Hey, I agree. Totally agreed. Like this person, you know, someone who would have spent this length of time to make a suit like this certainly would have studied the Patterson footage. Otherwise, they'd have been fools to not. And they're right. And now what's kind of bothersome though is there's a big section of film missing. Where's the in between of the Sasquatch coming back and forth? So and again, this still image, man, like that is the way their feet move. See, now we're way over by the tree, and that other shot was him way off over to the left. What happened to him in between? So need to see that kind of stuff. That's important. Transparency is important. If there's a reason that shot doesn't exist, that's important. So now they're reviewing this walking movement again. There's no flaws in the movement. There's no flaws in that the Sasquatch is not looking back. Like everything seems quite authentic to me. Even it looks like there's a little tuft of hair over the front of the eyes. That's possible. Check out the hair on the Bigfoot. Do you notice how the sun is shining off of it? Yeah, I do. And that's good. But, you know, can you make fake hair like that? I would argue yes. So, yeah, it's possible that could not be real. So let me give a couple perspectives here before I unveil what is pretty obvious about this Mark Anders guy. So always people are talking about who would do this, what's the point of it, people hoax, people do fake things all the time. But another perspective too from someone who has actually filmed Sasquatch and actually knows they're real and takes people out and shows them, what I've learned from this experience, which is tremendous, is first of all, when people just say he's a known hoaxer, you can kiss my ass. They say that about the Patterson footage. They've said that about my footage. They said that about a lot of really good footage that I've seen. And you need to see the evidence, guys. Like Jeff Meldrum and Survivor Man wouldn't work with me if some douche just came along and said, oh, that Todd Stanley, he's a known hoaxer. No, not. There is no evidence to substantiate that in any way, and there never will be because my footage is real. Nobody took a worse beating than Bob Gimlin and Roger Patterson, especially Bob Gimlin since he's still around, when it came to the Patterson footage. But this footage, it's the end. This is, let's go into it. Here it is, absolutely, without any doubt. Let's have a look. So here he is. Have a look at this. This is Mark Anders. This is the same costume. This is also something that's been going around the internet for a long time. I've had a good hard look at, so kind of looking a little baboonish in the face, but some potentially decent footage here, right? Wrong. Here is Mark Anders. Some of his footage that he did that was blurry turned out decent and was, you know, looked like it could fool somebody, but this is pretty much the end of it. That is clearly a costume. He's clearly trying to make this into a big, you know, Mexican Bigfoot, make all the drama. His backstories suck. Here's a really, you know, that looks like a potentially decent photograph, but it's not. Mark Anders is a fake. That's the same suit. He puts breasts on it. He changes it up. He seems to change the face, but it's, I mean, that you might say that's real. And here he is comparing himself to the Patterson footage. Before I get more into Mark Anders, man, I'd like to talk about the Patterson footage. With the Patterson footage, we have, was it Bob Heironimus is his name? I don't know if I mispronounced that. I'm not going to argue this. I'm going to say if the Patterson footage is not the greatest of all time, I mean, it's got to be in the top 2 or 3. I mean, people compare my footage to it. That's cool. I have multiple videos, and I have repeatability, which puts me in a different category, but they put themselves in a different category with, oh my god, like the tracks that they cast, and the blown quadriceps and the mid-tarsal joint in the tracks. Like there's really major pros to the Patterson footage. But I'm going to play a little video about Bob Heironimus because back a long time ago, when I didn't believe Sasquatch was real, I believed Bob Heironimus' story because there's a lot of validity to it. He takes some big truths. He did know Bob Gimlin and Roger Patterson, and I'm quite convinced he was there around the time they filmed the real Sasquatch. And then how did Roger Patterson get so lucky? He actually planned to go out and film a Sasquatch. Nobody had ever done anything like that. So there's lots of strange stuff going on with it. But at the end of the day, after reviewing all the evidence, and especially Jeff Meldrum, he's such an expert when it comes to film, it's really impossible for them to have hoaxed the Patterson footage. But Bob Heironimus was going on for years, and at the end of the day, I don't like to say this, but Bob Heironimus has got to be a liar. The footage is 100.0% real. Like, I'm not going to play. I've seen Sasquatch like that. There's a mid-tarsal joint. The tracks are authentic. I mean, there's so many things wrong with his testimony. Problem is, there's a lot of truth to his testimony. And, so it added validity to it. So I'm going to go into this footage. And remember, I'm always talking about people that are proponents of the suit, of it being fake. So this little documentary piece with Bob Heironimus was made in it, and they were completely proponents of it being fake, of it being a suit, and all they wanted to do is they went out to substantiate that, which people do. People have their opinions, and again, I respect that. You got to come in with the perspective and roll with it, and so maybe it's not very honest to keep an open heart, to keep your perspectives listening to the other side. I've just heard so much from the Patterson film, guys. There's just no way. There's no way that was hoaxed. There's no way. It's just not possible at all. So what I want to do is show you something that really can cast doubt in your mind. It's Bob Heironimus' testimony about him being in the suit, which is just very interesting. Let's play that. So I started this out with some PhD dude who analyzed the footage and says nothing scientifically can be proven from it. I strongly disagree. Jeff Meldrum has got really amazing results and proven spectacular things about the reality of the footage. So many things we've learned. Fortunately, we didn't close our minds like this gentleman off to the impossibility of it being Bigfoot. So we're going to go into the whole right where it started from. So this is where the footage was allegedly shot, and in Northern California. Bob Heironimus comes into it. So there's Roger Patterson. And this documentary too, Roger Patterson had passed away. Bob Gimlin refused to speak in it. So what's their perspective? The man in the suit is what they say. And wow. So out of the three people, they took the testimony of one person and also one PhD who strongly believes it can't be a man. It has to be a man in the suit. So there's Bob Heironimus. He claims to be the Sasquatch, which now that I know so much about it, see here he's going to do what he calls the famous walk. And there are so many things I can see about that walk. Like, it's preposterous to think he's not walking. He's copying it, but his feet aren't moving right. He's not 7 feet tall. He's nowhere near and never was anywhere near, that female Sasquatch honestly was conservatively around 500 pounds. And then, since he told it to all his buddies, here we are, we're all hanging out. It's a big joke. I was in the suit, but that's no kind of evidence whatsoever. So you told your buddies, who cares? So you're claiming to be, the Sasquatch, and maybe the dog cares. I don't know. But, yeah, you could tell your buddies and they can have a good laugh about it. People are sitting around having a good laugh about me too somewhere. And it's real, though. And I'm totally convinced. Here they are. Like, he is absolutely not walking like a Sasquatch whatsoever there. Why aren't his feet in line like the Sasquatch walked? There's proof right there. Never mind the feet don't come back far enough. I could just go on with several points that dude, you saw the film. I get it. You think you're walking like it. So he's talking about here when he was a young man, back when he was 26 years old. They're going to pay him $1,000. There's also something else I don't like about his story. I'll talk about in a minute. And he went out and he alleges they practiced it once. Okay. Gosh, that doesn't really hold true to me. But anyways, he went and practiced it. And then he alleges that he was taken out there. They took the Bigfoot costume. And back in 67, there was no costume of any type that would look anything. I mean, if you look at the old Planet of the Apes, they were absolutely terrible costumes. So somehow these two cowboys came up with this incredible costume that was better than anything Hollywood had ever seen by far, and took him out to a spot that he didn't know anything about. Apparently, he was concerned the whole time about being shot. But I have to admit, his story is very intricate. It's very detailed. One thing that's very incriminating here is he alleges that Bob Gimlin and Roger Patterson helped him put on the suit. So that means I've met Bob Gimlin. So he says, Bob was there, he helped me put on the suit and all that. And this suit, by the way, this is a modern day, really good suit compared to what they had in 67, and it's a stinking, reeking piece of crap. It wouldn't even come close. And this was filmed in the 2000s at the very least. But incriminating Bob and saying Bob's a liar is offensive to me. I've interviewed Bob, I've spoken to Bob, I've met Bob. Bob is a man of absolute integrity. I think the world of him, and there's no way I would think for a second that Bob would be capable of that, which, I am going to be a little personal. It does offend me. And then, of course, how did Bob walk? That's a huge individual. It's way bigger than Bob, 7 feet tall. Jeff Meldrum showed that. He brags about how he did the little turn back, but that is just, how did he make the quadricep bubble properly? How did he, even the way the feet move backwards? So, obviously his perspective too. My perspective that confused me is how did they pull it off? Like, how did Roger be in the right time in the right place? I just had to become at peace with that he was. So Bob here's talking about how hot he was. And then what bothers me about this too is Bob says I would have kept my mouth shut if they'd have paid me the $1,000. I don't know. That just doesn't sound like a very integral kind of thing to say. So it's very, I don't know. If you'd have paid him off, he'd have shut up and he never would have told the world that he was allegedly the guy in the costume. So, and there's just so many reasons to show that, Roger Patterson was allegedly a questionable character, but he really filmed Sasquatch, and I absolutely know it, and I have no doubt in my mind whatsoever that that actually is a fact. There's a whole bunch more. I mean, if you were not convinced of Mark Anders' fake suit, I mean, this looks completely fake. It looks like the same costume, and he just used it over and over. He made some changes to it, but here he is comparing himself how his is better than the old Steve Austin Bigfoot. But lots of shots here, and all Mark Anders. You know, it's not true. Here's a decent shot that could be convincing, but it's Mark Anders, and we're gonna have to say if he's a liar, he's a fake. It's got a look at the face on that one. I mean, that's pretty decent, but it's a fake. It's all fake. When you see this online, here's him being blurry. It's fake. So that looks like a decent chest. Here's that walk that he does. And it's fake, fake, fake. Everything attached to Mark Anders is not true. He was trying to make money. He was, a liar, and he should not be taken seriously. His credibility is completely out the window, and he should never, ever, ever get it back. The Georgia guys tried to do that, to come back. Oh, I was fake here, but now I'm real. And I mean, be offended by it. It is what it is. This is human nature. People lie, people cheat, people hoax, people fake it. And one thing with John Bitternagel was the backstory that impressed him about my footage. So this guy has no backstory. His story sounds ludicrous and inauthentic. And then there's even evidence where he's talking about this is in Idaho, this is in Mexico. So even the slightest little thing, like John actually took notes with me. John Bitternagel took notes and then made me tell my experiences 3-4 times. He asked me different things about it. Went back to his notes. And, that's a way to, before John started to become a proponent of my footage and be strongly convinced I have filmed portraits of the Sasquatch face, as he said, he grilled me about it. So, and we have to know now that there are real videos out there, and people like Mark Anders are going to do things based on the actual real Patterson footage, and to create more authenticity so he can sell t-shirts, so he can get views on YouTube, because you do make money, and people do sell their Bigfoot footage and make money from it, and people do want to be famous. Here, look, buy a t-shirt, Mark Anders, right? Here's him even putting breasts on his costume. But again, no video, just a crappy little blurry photograph. Maybe it was a video. He's editing it. He's, changing it up. He's trying to create authenticity to him. So it is totally inauthentic. It is a fake. It is a hoax. And Mark Anders should be always branded that way. We just have to move forward and do the best we can and learn from these experiences. It was a tremendous learning experience for me. I'm very grateful for it. Thank you very much for tuning in today. It's Sasquatch Sunday, Throwback Thursdays. I'm live on Wednesdays. There's more to come. Thank you very much for tuning in. Take care, and I'll see you soon.